أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي زدني علما. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, brothers and sisters. Welcome to this session today on dealing with low motivation and procrastination. My name is Saima Zulfaqar and I am the student counselor at the International Open University. And so, in today's session, inshallah, we will take a look at how we can deal with low focus, low momentum, and how we can go about defeating procrastination. I understand that, alhamdulillah, the midterm exam period for all streams except BMIS and MEIS has just ended, and it can definitely be a very difficult time to navigate now, especially with gathering all your motivation to continue and get back on track with studies at the same time. Running and going about completing your assignments. So let's take a look at how we can, inshallah, stay focused and inshallah, defeat procrastination to yield effective results, bi'idhnillah. So, the very first step when it comes to dealing with low motivation and procrastination is that a lot of students struggle to set clear goals. And so, the obvious way to fix that is to start setting more clear goals. So, as we've entered the second half of the semester, it's important that we sit down and reflect on our intentions. Renewing your intention, asking yourself, why are you here? Who are you doing this for? And what do you intend to achieve from the program that you're enrolled in? So remind yourself of your goal, remind yourself of the bigger picture, purify your intention that we're only here for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, and then all your other reasons for coming. So, for example, it's okay that you're here for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for becoming a better Muslim, and at the same time, to maybe you're here to, maybe do well on a professional level, maybe find jobs, maybe earn halal income, right? So sit down and reflect on your purpose. That's going to give you, inshallah, a good boost to continue with the course. And secondly, define achievable and realistic goals for every half of the semester. So, what I usually advise students is that look at the semester as a whole and split that whole into two parts. So, Alhamdulillah, you have finished the first part, you've completed your midterm exams, and now here you are at the second part, the very last part of this semester, right? So, set some goals for this half of the semester too, which means including preparing a timetable for your studies. So it so happens that usually setting one rigid timetable does not work for a lot of students. So let's say before you began your program, it could have been that you didn't have a job and now you suddenly have one. Or it could be that you didn't really have a lot of workload at that time and now you do, right? So maybe sit down and revise your timetable, revise how many modules you want to do every day, revise how do you want to study every day. So sit down, count the number of modules that you have remaining for your final exams, and divide them accordingly. Likewise, the assignments are due very shortly, right? So this is a good time to start prioritizing on your assignments by sitting down and dedicating enough time to them. So maybe spending about 1 hour every day for your assignments, and maybe about another hour or so for your modules. So sit down and inshallah prepare your timetable. Next is crafting your own study routine. This is very, very imperative, brothers and sisters, because a lot of times we struggle with procrastination because we don't have the right system in place, right? So imagine with all acts of worship, for example, let's talk about Salah. We have a certain way, a certain system, a certain structure to perform Salah, right? You basically make an intention, you do your wudu. Within wudu, you perform certain rituals, and then after you're done with your wudu, you stand up and you go ahead and pray in a quiet space, free of distractions, right? Likewise, imagine studying also like that is an act of worship, right? So when you have purified your intention that you are studying here for pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you've now transformed a mere act, a mere boring action, perhaps into an act of worship, right? So honor that act of worship by drawing a study ritual. So this means find your most productive hour firstly. So, what do I mean by that? Maybe sit down and reflect on what is that particular hour of your day where you feel most productive and you have the most energy and focus. So, for example, some people are most alert and most proactive in the mornings. So, maybe like after Fajr is a good time to study. Some people like to do it maybe in the noon. Some people like to do it in the evening. Some people like to do it before bed. So find that most productive hour for you. Then set up a study space so that you can sit down and study without getting distracted, right? So maybe set up that ambience. If you don't have a study desk, I would advise you to invest on a study desk. Maybe sit down in a corner of the room, avoid studying on the bed. Make sure the temperature is right, make sure the lighting is right, make sure your seating is comfortable as well. And of course, if you don't have a study space at home, you could perhaps study in a library because, again, it's quiet, it's nice, right? So find that productive hour, set up that study space, and eliminate distractions in your study routine. So this means keeping your phone away, keeping other unwanted gadgets away, so that you don't end up scrolling through your phone. Next is to break tasks into smaller steps. Again, one of the reasons for procrastination is that big tasks can be very, very intimidating and boring. So let's say, for example, you know that you have to complete 3 modules today, right? Now, 3 modules can sound very intimidating, very boring, because you need to now set aside 3 hours of your day, and it feels like, oh, it's a big thing, right? So to make it more achievable, try breaking down the task into smaller steps using the chunking method. So, for example, you can split your modules and assignments. Let's say take module one, right? Module one could preferably have part A, part B, part C, right? So maybe you can start with part A, take a 5 minute break, come back, complete part B, take a 5 minute break again, and then come back and go over with part C. So this way you've completed your first module, right? Then you can take a break, maybe about 30 minutes, or maybe in some other part of your day. Let's say you've done your modules in module one on in the morning. Now you can go about doing module two maybe in the evening. So start again with part A, take a 5 minute break, move to part B, take a 5 minute break, then come back for part C. Now this is an ideal method to stay focused and to stay concentrated. However, a lot of students may find that they end up taking longer breaks than usual. So in such cases, I would not recommend you to take maybe like a 5 minute break. Maybe you could cut it down to 3 minutes, set an alarm on your phone, so that set a timer, set an alarm so that you come back within that 3-minute period. So this way, it's easier for you to break down the task into smaller steps. Likewise, when attempting assignments, again, it can be intimidating because you need to sit down and keep typing and typing and typing, right? So what I recommend is split your assignment into paragraphs. So let's say you work on paragraph 1, you've done that, maybe take a 5-minute break, have something to eat, come back, continue with paragraph 2, then maybe take a break again, right? So this is one way. The other way is maybe breaking it down into sections. So let's say you complete section 1, take a break then, and then go over to section 2. So section by sections, I mean, for example, subheadings and menus, not paragraphs. So you can, be creative and inshallah try what works for you. Next is try to spice up your studies by using positive reinforcement. So, for example, every time you complete a module, every time you maybe complete your assignments part, reward yourself. And that will make you feel really good and inshallah help you stay connected and motivated. So, for example, let's say you complete all 3 modules for today, maybe enjoy a small treat. It could be, for example, watching your favorite video, taking a walk, eating a snack, right? Enjoy what you like. Likewise, if that's too long for you, maybe what you can do is maybe rewarding yourself every time you complete one module. So let's say you complete module 1, maybe create like a checklist on your phone or maybe a checklist on your whiteboard. And once you complete module 1, maybe strike that through. It's going to give you, a really good feeling. Have a small treat, watch a video, something like that, and then come back, do module number 2, and then, take a break, enjoy a treat, and then maybe do module number 3. So this is how you can condition yourself to enjoy your study period as well. Next is take extra care of yourself. Now, I understand that studying, giving time to studies, especially if you're juggling work, if you're juggling responsibilities at home, it can be very, very difficult. And unfortunately, a lot of students compromise on their sleeping and eating patterns. So make sure that you're getting enough sleep at night. There's no fixed number that you need to sleep for 8, 10, 11, 12 hours. No. Listen to your body, sleep as much as you can, right? Try to stay proactive by eating clean. Again, the kind of food that you eat, brothers and sisters, really, really impacts your concentration and focus levels. And there have been numerous studies to support that. So, for example, it's been found that eating junk foods, eating oily, highly processed foods, make you more lazy, make you more drowsy and sleepy. So make sure you're eating clean. Try to eat a balanced diet so that you can stay proactive and take enough rests. Now, by rests, I mean, for example, taking enough breaks on a weekly basis too. So, for example, it's okay if you don't complete any modules on the weekend, right? So it's okay to take a break on your weekends. It's okay to take a step back and, rejuvenate your body and your mind. So take enough rests and take extra care of yourself as you go through this second half of the semester, which brings me to the final point about seeking support if required. Again, the second half of the semester can be really, really tricky to navigate through because you now have your assignments approaching, and then shortly after you have your final exams, right? So it can be a little stressful. So if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, maybe speak to your friends, your loved ones, for some support, for some advice. You can even speak to our student counselor, that's me. You can book a one-on-one appointment with me, and inshallah, I will be happy to help you. And finally, if you have any doubts about your courses, if you have any questions and you need any assistance with studying, you can even contact your course teacher and schedule a call with them. So just to quickly summarize what we've discussed, number one, inshallah, to defeat procrastination and low motivation, set clear, achievable, and realistic goals. Number two, create a study routine that works for you, which includes studying at the right time and at the right place. Number three, break tasks into smaller steps. Split your modules and assignments so that you feel more accomplished. Number four, use positive reinforcement. Reward yourself every time you complete a module or a task. Number five, take extra care of yourself. Make sure you're sleeping well and eating well. Lastly, reach out to people around you for support. So, inshallah, if you have any questions at this point, you can let us know in the chat box, and I would be happy to answer them for you. Bismillah. Okay, so we have a question here. Assalamu alaikum. Can you please give advice to moms with small children? Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah. Yes, definitely. So, moms with small children, it can be very difficult to make time for your studies. What I would maybe recommend is finding a time when probably your kids are asleep to complete your module. So maybe it's early mornings, or maybe it's at night when they're asleep, right? So pick out two different times for the day, maybe in the morning and one at night, and try to complete your modules around that time so that inshallah you don't have a lot of distractions and you can stay focused. And number two, finally, is don't be too hard on yourself. So if you need any help, if you need any support, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you can reach out to us for support, inshallah. And set a goal, sisters. It's important that you set a timetable for your studies. So maybe draw a timetable of how many modules do you target to complete every day. Keep a record, inshallah, so that it's easier for you to stay focused. Bismillah. Okay, for students asking me how to contact student counselor, you can drop me an email at this email address that will be shared in the chat box. So I have shared my email address in the chat box, brothers and sisters. You can go ahead and drop me an email, and inshallah, book a call with me if you need any assistance. Bi-idhnillah. Student asks, is there any late submission for assignments? Yes, there is. I believe it's the 10th of June, the last date to submit your assignments in the late period. However, I think it is going to have a deduction too. So unless you have a valid reason, so for example, in cases of emergencies, the deduction can be waived. However, if you don't have a genuine reason, then you will have to submit them in the late period with a 15% deduction. So we would recommend that you submit your assignments as soon as you can in the normal period. Okay, so I think I'm going to take one last question, inshallah, before we end. So we have someone who says most of the modules are bulky. If the course assignments will be released along with the modules, that would have been more helpful. So, dear students, there's nothing we can do about changing the time for releasing assignments, right? What I always tell students when it's about assignments is that as soon as the assignment questions are released, don't wait until the end. So as soon as the assignment questions are released, start working on a draft. So a lot of students, for example, what I've told them in the past semesters is that prepare a draft. Let's say your assignment question was released yesterday. So sit down, prepare a draft. Now that draft should include what would be the subheadings that you will be covering, what will be the topics that you would be covering. Maybe write down the names of the sections. So let's say your topic was about fasting, right? Fasting in Ramadan. So you can create a draft by starting with an introduction, then create another subheading about the importance of fasting, what is fasting, or how is it derived, fasting in the Quran, fasting in the Sunnah, create sections in your draft. And slowly, once you've created that draft, once you have that blueprint, it makes it easier for you to carry on working on your assignment then, because you have a direction now, right? So you now know what to look for, you now know what to work on. So it gets a lot easier with that. And of course, these drafts should be prepared before the midterm exam period begins. Because now the assignment period is around the corner. So, you need to start working faster. So probably in the next semester, brothers and sisters, if you didn't have a chance to, do your assignments this way, maybe from the next semester, you can start like this, inshallah. Create a draft, have a draft stage, then slowly start working on it, after the midterms, before the midterms, so that it's easier, inshallah. How can a semester break be taken? You can drop me an email, inshallah, and I will take a look at that. Okay, so taking one last question, how can a mother take time to read? Again, with mothers, I recommend that pick out a quiet time of your day, because it can be very difficult to find a quiet time. What I recommend is maybe look out for an hour or 30 minutes in the morning and maybe 30 minutes in the evening. So let's say pick a time where your kids are asleep, when nobody is up, maybe after Fajr, maybe before Fajr, just 15 minutes or maybe just 30 minutes of your time. Sit down and, you will have, inshallah, time to read, try to go through your notes, anything that you like to work on. So set a timer on your phone. It makes it easier, inshallah. So setting just 15 to 30 minutes aside of your day should be enough, inshallah, to begin the habit of reading. So I hope that answers your questions, brothers and sisters. Jazakumullahu khairan kathira for taking the time to attend this session. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put barakah in your time and your efforts. Ameen. All the very best for your assignment submission. جزاكم الله خيرا كثيرا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك